Good evening, Bondi. How are you, mate?
I'm going well, thanks, Carl. Going well.
Nice to talk to you with Barra tonight. Well, I suppose it's the news that you didn't want, but it was news that, I sort of thought was going to happen, mate, unfortunately. But in the end, you've now got to try and do the best deal you can. How do you think you're placed, just looking at your list, and I know that you're involved in that area of your business down there, with Ruckman, you know, like a backup to Aaron Sandilands? I know you've got a couple of really young blokes there who may be a little way off, but you're probably in the hunt for one now?
Yeah, I would say so. But in saying that, with Aaron, I think we'd all be impressed with the way that Aaron's proceeding with his footy and the level he's going forward. Yep. Kepler Bradley towards the end of the year had a real input in the ruck for us. Daniel Gilmore's done it in the past. We've got a young rookie ruckman in the name of Brent Conley that we think in 3 or 4 years of development could also go in there as well. But look, there's some key areas of our list and the balance of our list that we're looking at, and that'd certainly be one of them.
Bondi, it's Barra, mate. Nice to have you on the show. Listen, but surely you couldn't go into next season with having Kepler and Happy Gilmore as your backup ruckman, because if Sandy did get injured, you'd really be exposed.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Barra, absolutely. But in saying that, I don't think we'll sell our soul to do that either. I think the one thing with this football club now is that I think it's really important that it's fair and reasonable in whatever's done in regards to trades, and that's something that we'll be looking at now.
Are you confident that Warnock and his management will attempt to do the right thing by Fremantle, a bit like Chris Judd, I suppose, in some ways, that because, of course, he can just jump into the draft and basically go straight to Melbourne if he wanted to, and you'd left holding the baby, so to speak?
Yeah, I agree with that, Carl, absolutely. I am confident that, Colin's had a long relationship with the club, and I think Robbie, in the statement he brought out in the media release, and was really positive towards that. Look, when the announcement was made today, I certainly sat down with the key people there, and we discussed if we feel everything could have been done to keep Robbie, and we have absolutely no doubt. I mean, the club's gone beyond the call with everything they could for Robbie, and I think he realises that, but we respect his decision. But in saying that, there needs to be drawn a line in the sand, and we need to make sure that what happens now is really important for the Fremantle Footy Club going forward.
Bondi, it's Carl now, mate. That was Barra, by the way.
Sorry, guys.
No, we get confused quite often, mate. I've got to ask you, did Robbie and his manager today say where he wanted to go to or not? They've given you no indication yet?
No, they haven't, not at all. And like I said, all our energies have gone towards keeping Robbie, and that's been our number one priority. So now we've actually got a fair bit of time to sit down, work out our strategies and philosophies going forward. But no, not at this stage. But I've got no doubt dealing with Colin that'll come.
Yeah, because you just look at Chris Judd. Chris Judd says he wants to go to Carlton, so West Coast know then who they're dealing with. So you'd expect that news. What, soon, or have you?
Yeah, look, I'm not too sure. I mean, the ball's really in their court. At the end of the day, Robbie, if he does suggest which club he wants to go to, look, at the end of the day, we will still decide what's best for the football club. And I know that there's a threat of losing Robbie for nothing and all that type of thing, but I'm very conscious of the fact that we will make a stand, and we believe that Robbie was a very important part of our future. We believe we've put a lot of work into the development of him as a player and a person, and even this year, and be able to develop him as the second ruckman below Aaron. So in saying that, we need to make sure that whatever is done is fair and reasonable, and look, I'm really confident that will happen.
Mate, in Melbourne, as you know, they're going to try to get away with just a second-round pick, I reckon, over there. Carlton's at 24 or Melbourne at 19. What do you think's a fair, if you were to take a pick, what do you think's a fair price for Warnock?
Look, it's too early to say, really. I mean, we're not going to sit here and start saying what you would or wouldn't get for him. But I think, you guys have watched a lot of footy and you know your footy yourself, and I'm pretty sure that, and I'm not prepared to say yet because we haven't sat down and talked to all parties involved in it yet, but you guys yourself would know that he's a developing ruckman. They're hard to get. They're an important part of your process, and I would have thought that we'll be working very hard to make sure it's in our favour.
I did hear a bit of a whisper during the year that St Kilda were in the hunt for Robbie Warnock. Now, they took Ben McAvoy at pick 9 in the 2007 draft. He's only a 19-year-old. He's 200 centimetres and 95 kilos. He'd fit the policy that you've adopted down there at Freo nicely.
Well, we have, have. I'm glad you mentioned it. I mean, there's no secret in what we've done this year in regards to our list. And in saying that, it's been a pretty tough time for the club, and going from the transition of probably the most mature age list in the competition to one of the youngest next year. But we believe that's the right policy. Obviously, Robbie's a hiccup with that. There's certainly wanted to build this list around Robbie as well. But I think just that example you've given us shows that there are examples out there that even early on in the draft you're going to find a player that can spend a lot of time at your club.
You'd love someone like Jonathan Griffin, wouldn't you, if they could do a three-way deal, someone like that?
Well, look, that's the other thing. I've been lucky enough. I've been involved with the Bulldogs in regards to this, and just to think that you're just going to deal with one club is, when you're dealing with somebody in demand like Robbie, is probably naive. So, look, we'll cover all bases. We'll leave no stone unturned to make sure that the football club certainly gets out of it what it deserves, and we think that's really important going forward.
How about you when you got to Freo, Bondi? Let's go back in time, mate. Jeff White, 1997, trade to Melbourne. Pick 2, pick 18, on-traded by Fremantle. Richmond took Ottens at pick 2. Fremantle got you. And pick 21, which they chose Clem Michael.
Yeah.
And pick 18, Bulldogs picked up Mark Alvey, and Fremantle picked up Daniel Hargraves.
Well, it'd be fair to say that if I was doing that, I probably wouldn't have done that deal if I was.
Good answer.
Look, that's life, and that's the way it is. And we live and die by our decisions and everything like that. But in saying that, though, I mean, I sit down regularly and talk to people that are close to me, and spending 2 years at Freo at the end of the 90s was terrific for me, both professionally as a person and as a footballer.
Now, mate, just before I ask you about Andrew Jarman, so does this mean now that you just throw everything at David Mundy? I mean, how do you feel about him, mate? He's waited a long time. He's in a beautiful position now because he knows you probably really need him. It'd be double whammy if he goes. Are you confident, Bondi, you can keep Mundy?
Well, look, obviously I am. I mean, there's a lot of work that's gone into that as well. Obviously the contract negotiations for these two boys have gone on for a fair while. But David Mundy is definitely a required player. He's important to the whole structure of the joint. We think that he's a future leader at the club as well. So, look, that's work in progress for us. But obviously, I mean, as a football club, you can sit down and you can panic and you can jump up and down and do whatever. But we've got a process that we're going to stick to, and David Mundy is important to that process. But in saying that, we want to make sure that we do everything right for the benefit of this footy club, and that's what we'll do.
All right, good luck with that. Andrew Jarman got sacked by North Adelaide today. We hear on 7 News that I think Harves spoke to him. Are you interested in Andrew Jarman?
Well, I haven't heard that, to be honest. I know that Andrew's contacted the club and to show some interest, but it'd be fair to say we're still probably a week or so away from really touching base with that. We have spoken very, very casually to a couple of people, but not mainly. So I still think we're probably middle of next week to be able to sit down and really nut that.
What about Dennis Pagan?
Well, the same sort of thing. It'd be fair to say when we do sit down, we'll go through everybody, and it's not just everyone that's available. It's anybody that's out there that we think can add some real currency to the club.
Sounds like he's thrown his hand up though, Paige, doesn't it?
So I'm told.
You have spoken to your mate Leon Cameron though. Come on, Bonnie, you can tell us that, can't you?
Gee, you don't miss anything, do you?
Oh, yeah.
No,
mate,
look, really,
Perth's a small place.
Yeah, it is. I have found that out. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
No, look, Leon and I obviously work together and know each other, and I did speak to Leon probably a month ago. Leon told me he was contracted for 2 years, and because I've been at the club and know Leon well, I just didn't pursue it from there, so that's fine.
Yeah, not one of those same contracts that Michael Voss had. Contracts are made to be broken, Bondi. Thanks for your time.
People, but no, that's fine.
Good on you, mate. Thanks for your time tonight.
No problem. Bye.
Chris Bond there.